Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Greenfield Planning Commission. We'll call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. May we have a roll call, please?
Chair Garcia,
Here.
Vice Chair Savala,
Here.
Commissioner Martinez,
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Here.
Commissioner Gallardo.
All right, we have a full board. If everybody could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Martinez. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, one God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. And moving on to the public comments from the audience regarding items that are not on the agenda. Do we have any public comments from chambers? Seeing none, are there any online, any hands raised?
No public comments.
No units. Okay, we'll close the public comments and move on to the consent agenda. One item is the adoption of the May 2, 2023 Planning Commission minutes.
We need a motion for that, right? I'll make a motion that we accept the planning commission meetings for May 2nd, 2023.
Thank you.
May 2nd.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. We can now move on to our public hearings. We have one item under this. It is the consideration of a resolution approving a conditional use permit to allow for a type 21 liquor license for off-site sales of liquor, in addition to beer and wine at 186 4th Street, APN 024-072-041. Sarah, staff reports.
Is this on already? We good? Okay. I will be giving the staff report this evening as soon as I can get my screen to share. All right. Good evening, commissioners and Chair Garcia. I'll be presenting this conditional use permit for a type 21 liquor license at 186 4th Street. So the project site is the Oak Avenue Mini Mart at the corner of 4th Street and Oak Avenue. The area is zoned neighborhood commercial. The surrounding land uses are Highway 101 to the west, the fire station to the north, and residential uses to the north, and residential uses to the east and the south. The site currently has a conditional use permit for type 20 license for the off sale of beer and wine. They're looking to switch to a type 21 license for beer, wine, and spirits. Alcohol sales in the neighborhood commercial zoning district requires a conditional use permit. The conditions of approval that are attached to the packet help ensure that the use remains compatible with the surrounding land uses. The project is categorically exempt from CEQA pursuant to section 15301, which provides an exemption for existing facilities. So the components and conditions of approval that apply at the site. The current hours of operation are Monday through Thursday, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday, 5 a.m., Friday and Saturday, 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Alcohol sales under the current conditional use permit are prohibited between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. And that's a condition of this next CUP as well. So signage is not a required part of the conditional use permit, but we do, since they are requesting a change, require the building to be up to standards with current code. And our current sign code section 17.62 says that no more than 10% of a window can be covered by a sign. So we have added a condition that the sign and the current signs are covering bars on the windows. So we've requested that they remove both the sign and the bars from the window. And then the applicant has agreed to replace those with this polycarbonate sheeting, which is pretty hard to break, to add security, to kind of replace the security that would be lost from removal of the bars, and then add the mirrored finish also to provide some extra security. And then other than the signage, the project meets the city's zoning code standards. As far as safety on site goes, for the years 2020 to 2021, crime at the site was less than that at similar locations throughout the city. So I have two graphs here, one from the fast trip, which had 6 incidents, which are basically theft and robbery, or what the police chief was looking at. So fast trip had 6 in that time period. And I believe the reason 2022 didn't come up for Oak Avenue is because they didn't have anything coming up in their system as far as incidents reported. And then he also compared it to the Valero, which didn't have any crime either. So, but as far as the police chief's concerned, he doesn't have any major concerns as far as safety at that location. So I'm going to spend, I think, the most time on this slide tonight. The State Department of Alcoholic and Beverage Control has guidelines for the number of allocated retail licenses in each census tract throughout the state, based on the population of that census tract. The Oak Avenue Mini Mart is located in census tract 112.02, which is on this figure, it's east of that red line. And according to ABC, there are 7 current off-sale licenses, which include type 20 and type 21, in this census tract, which includes the Oak Avenue Mini Mart. And 7 is the maximum allowed in this census tract without the area being considered overconcentrated. And because of that, if we were to add the type 21, in addition to the existing type 20, we would end up with an overconcentration. So Mr. Cho has agreed to cancel his existing type 20 license. It wouldn't be sold to anybody else or reusable in the same census tract once the type 21 is approved, so that the type 21 then replaces the type 20, and it would still, the number of total off-sale licenses in the census tract would remain at 7. As you can see on the map, 3 of the off-sale licenses in the census tract are type 21 licenses, and the Oak Avenue Mini Mart would become number 4. There are a total of 15 total off-sale, either type 20 or 21 licenses in the city as a whole. 7 are in census tract 112.03, which is west of that red line, and 7 are in 112.02. And then there's one that's the shell, which is north of everything. So, given that crime rates are low at the location and that a change in license type would not result in an overconcentration of off-sale licenses in the census tract, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 2023-11, approving a conditional use permit for off-sale beer, wine, and distilled spirit sales at 186 4th Street. The alternatives include denying the proposed conditional use permit or approving the proposed conditional use permit with specific changes or additional conditions of approval. I'm available to take any questions now, and Mr. Cho is also here tonight and can provide answers to any questions you may have if I cannot answer them.
Okay, thank you very much for that report. Any initial questions for Danielle?
Yes, I have a question. You stated that aesthetically, the bars need to be removed. I guess they're like an eyesore.
We're trying to just improve the visual aesthetics of retail.
I understand that. But wouldn't it behoove the proprietors to keep bars on the window to prevent from break-ins? Without the bars, they're more susceptible to break-ins. Don't you agree on that?
They could be. And that's why he was proposing the polycarbonate, because polycarbonate is also supposed to be very strong, and it would be a film on the existing window. That would be harder to break.
In the past, when I was employed, I've been retired for numerous years, we use that. But also, I mean, you could break it. I mean, it's like, well, I guess it all depends on the thickness of it. But the stuff we were using, like, I think it was either 1/2 inch or 3/8, and you could break it.
Right.
Now, I'm not advocating that they do away with the bar, but by the same token, I think it'd be better off with them.
So, and that is an option if you guys wanted to discuss amongst yourselves and propose an alternative condition of approval.
Any other comments or
Can you go back
questions?
to that slide?
Yeah, can we see
no
the
problem.
picture of the storefront?
Are they cardboard signs they're behind in front of the bars?
I don't believe so. I believe they're kind of a plastic material, but I would defer to Mr. Cho to confirm.
There's no other questions for staff. I'm going to open the public hearing and invite Mr. Cho to speak with us if he wants to. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Dongjun Cho. I'm owner of the Ogebi니 Mini Mart since 2009. Thank you.
I guess, do you have any concerns about removing the bars from the window and do you think this is going to be a security?
Yeah, that one, I think that's okay with the polycarbonate. I know they can break it, but it's really hard to break. I think.
So
One,
you're okay with removing the bars? You don't have an objection to that, is that correct?
yes.
You sound like you're kind of tentative about that.
I'm previous owner of that store, and maybe I can explain his position there. The bar was if he doesn't have to move that bar, he wants to keep it. But since it's according to the city, there's it's required to remove it. So that's why he looked for the special glass
Well,
and the tempered glass
right.
is so thick and almost impossible for individual to break in so easily. He has video that showing that, but whatever the city decided, he will do it. Either one,
But he's under the impression that the city is mandating that they remove it. And now you're telling us that it's an option that we can actually stipulate that he can keep them on there. Is that correct?
So in order, the Community Development Department, when we discussed internally, decided that in order to improve the visual aesthetic to be consistent with other retail locations across the city, we would like the bars removed. So he did come up with this other alternative. He has expressed that he was concerned about removing the bars for safety, and that's why he came up with the alternative. So it is ultimately the planning commissioner's decision, which if they're okay with leaving the bars on the windows or not, we can adjust that condition of approval.
Okay, from my perspective, if I had a business, which I don't, I would try to do whatever it would keep guys out of my business. Whatever preventive measures I would take. Now, I understand, I mean, I could go along with removing the signs. But if Mr. Cho, it's like, because he sounds like he's kind of tentative that I guess he's under the impression that you're making him taking them off. I mean, that's the impression I get. But by your own words, we can go forward and say, no, let him keep them if we vote, if we chose to.
Right.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, I just want to clarify that.
Thank you for that. Does anybody else have any questions or comments for the applicant?
Oh, I have another one, follow up. Sorry, I'm on a roll. No, I'm just curious, have you already purchased your type 21 license?
Yes, I'm processing it.
I'm sorry,
I'm processing it right now.
He's buying
You
it.
have
for-
not- Have you attained it already? Is that correct? He's got a 20 right now. Right, but he wants 21 to sell
Oh,
hard liquor.
oh, he bought it.
Not,
You
not
already
yet,
have
not
it.
yet,
Not
not
yet.
yet.
Excuse me, I'm Floyd Chong, and I've helped them in the past, that I'm also a business broker. He's working with the ABC to get it, so he's put down a part of a deposit right now. So he's not fully paid for it yet until this process is completed over here with your council, and then they will go through the rest of the paperwork and posting it and things like that. So no, he does not have possession of it now, no.
Okay, so if I understand from reading the documentation that was given to us, once he does attain the type 21, he intends to get rid of the type 20, is that correct?
The word is cancel, I think you wrote down in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Well, since we're doing that, have you purchased the new glass? Or are you waiting for approval upon this?
After today, he said, we're gonna decide that, he ready to order,
Okay,
he's waiting
so,
to
all right,
my decision.
thank you very much. Are there any public comments from Zoom or the audience? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and go to Planning Commission discussion and decision. You can have a seat. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll start if I may.
Go ahead.
I would like to see us be compliant with current code, and I think this is an opportunity to do that. Just in terms of the aesthetics, bars, if we remove the signage, the bars are going to look, they're not going to look good. And we've heard from the police department that they haven't had many issues there compared to other areas. So I would really encourage us to be consistent and take this opportunity to then be up to compliance with our current code.
I don't see, do we have a picture with the bars or am I?
They're
You
behind the
give to-
signs.
Okay, so
they've-
they're, okay, I get it now.
Yes,
And they've been covered behind signs.
Oh,
I think
I
all the
see.
pictures I have them behind signs, so.
Okay.
I don't know.
That polyglass that they want to put in, is it see-through from the inside out?
It is, I believe, yeah. It would be one way so that you can't see in easily, but you could see out from the inside.
To me, it looks, I don't know, to me, it looks better than with the bars. So I'm not keen on having bars around businesses and stuff like that. I don't think it's a deterrent anyway. You don't? Really? Yeah, I think people could still get in there, break windows and stuff, so. I don't know. Okay, are we able to discuss this now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a business, okay? Right. And you're continually getting broken into. Okay? Okay. Are you going to take measures to prevent people from going into your business? Because they continue to go in, your insurance is going to keep going up. So again, I mean, I'm not advocating to keep the bars. It's going to be a mutual decision between us. But again, I mean, if you had a business, you'd do whatever it can to keep from getting broken into. Okay, but most of the time, instead of getting broken into with the bars, people go in through the doors and rob the store. So, you know. Yeah, 6 of one, half dozen the other. Right. Right, I mean. Okay, from my perspective is that for beautification, I guess you want to say, I'd rather have this polyglass than the bars. That's my, they call it polyglass, but it's not actually glass, it's a hard plastic. Yeah, and I mean, you see it, I mean, some of the newer vehicles actually use them. But I mean, I don't know, I mean, if people want to get in, burglarize a place, they're gonna get in one way or another. Whether they have to drive a truck through the front door or whatever it takes, but again, I mean, it's a mutual decision here as to how we go forward with this.
Can I make another point? Please. I am just thinking in terms of consistency and treating everybody equally. So this is a question for staff. If a new business came in, would they be allowed to put bars on their windows?
We would make the same request if they had bars to remove them,
But
and
would they be
we
able
would,
to come in and say, this is my business, I want to put bars?
no, we would not approve bars on windows as a new proposal.
Compliant.
So then if they go forward with the bars, it's because they're grandfathered into it, is that it?
I believe it would be something like that. I would let Paul correct me, but it would basically be your guys' decision, that would be approving that aesthetic, I guess, in that type of zoning district.
So if I understand Commissioner Martinez's question was, if someone else came in with a new business and they requested for bars, that wouldn't fly?
We could present, if it was, say, a project that had to go through design review, it would again be in front of you guys for approval, and you could choose to approve it, but we would
Staff
not,
wouldn't recommend it.
right.
So my understanding is the signage component is subject to the Greenfield Municipal Code 17.62.030.
Right.
Is there a muni code that addresses bars in front of windows specifically?
Not
Or is this
explicitly.
just an aesthetic?
This is an
Preference.
this is an aesthetic trying to bring it up to match the definition of the zoning code, kind of keeping that higher level of aesthetic appearance.
Okay. So, and this is condition number 8. Could we put on the approval that, God forbid, your crime does increase and you are seeing more break-ins, that bars could be put back on? Reviewed in, I don't know, a year? Or per incident? Well, if that, if you want to, for safety and security.
Yeah, I believe we could make that a condition. We would, if the planning commission would like to see that.
If the applicant would like that.
Does this only apply to commercial businesses? Or, because I know I've seen homes that have bars on the window.
So we were specifically looking at the commercial, retail, neighborhood commercial, those districts for this in particular. We hadn't necessarily gone down any of the other districts to when we were having discussions about this location.
What I appreciate in the recommendation is that the police department is in favor and doesn't have any objection, and that crime rates are low at that subject location. So I would hate to see them increase.
Right.
So that's why if everybody's okay with that little caveat at the end, and unfortunately crime does increase at your location, we could revisit that.
But then by the same token, maybe crime isn't committed there because they have bars on the window.
That's what I'm saying.
No, okay, so I didn't understand, I'm sorry.
Something else I wanted to point out, this building, it's a beautiful building. It's in a great location. It's visible when you get off the freeway. So with bars on it, it's not very welcoming, folks. It makes it look like something going on in this town. You gotta protect yourself. And it's not like that. We just heard from the police department. This is a nice place and folks can always come back and bring this forward and say, I'm having an issue. I want to, do something to protect my property. But I don't even think we need to put it in as a condition because they have that right to come forward at any time.
Do they?
I'm going to defer to Paul Mugen to confirm.
I'm saying that the applicant has the right to come forward at any point and say and bring this issue back and say, I would like to have bars on my windows for these reasons. I'm saying it doesn't need to be a condition.
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate. I think only that we suggest that it was that if there is a crime, that it be reported to the police department. Sometimes crimes happen and people don't report, and we would want the business person to report it when there is crime. Perhaps it had a lot of crime. Did the bars on the windows. but it's never been. I think, and our stratification, it is an issue, and that we already said, no.
Have they always had bars?
As far back as our records show, yes. And I think that goes back to the 2007 condition, the CUP from 2007. It was added as a condition for them to remove the bars, and I think they had discussions at that time, and they were left.
Okay, and as far as changing the license type from 20 to 21, I appreciate you giving up your 20 license to change to type 21, because I frequent this store quite a lot, and you have invested a lot of improving the exterior, and it's a very clean place, and your staff is very friendly and nice. So I appreciate the investment that you've made so far. So I personally am in favor of approving the CUP. And if you find that the removal of the bars is a problem, I would encourage you to report that and then come back to us. But those are my thoughts. Anybody else? So if there's no other comments, there's
is it a financial expense to remove the bars and put the polyglass or whatever that's called? Is that a financial expense? 50,000?
50,000 for buying remove the bar, but he's going to
$50,000?
no 15. Well,
Oh, well, okay, 15, okay. All right.
still a lot.
Take a vote on it.
Yeah, the motion is on page 7. If somebody wants to make it.
I'll make the motion. I move that the Planning Commission of the City of Greenfield adopt resolution number 2023-11, approving a conditional use permit to allow off-sale general alcoholic beverage sales at 186 4th Street.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it carries unanimously. Congratulations.
thank you.
So we can move on to G now, other business. The first item is the summary on Brown Act requirements. Is there a staff report?
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Garcia, members of the Planning Commission. I distributed before you at the dais a handbook provided by the city attorney regarding the Brown Act. It has the current updates on the Brown Act itself. All of you are veteran planning commissioners, so we don't face these issues too often, as you're probably well aware. Brown Act is all about transparency and making sure that appointed officials like yourselves are performing your duties basically with honesty and transparency with the public. Issues like serial meetings, getting together off-site and kind of predetermining decisions, anything that as you veteran commissioners are well aware, if it doesn't feel right, it probably is not right. And the handbook that's provided to you is an outstanding reference. If there's something that you wanted to look up in relationship to projects, probably in the 30 years that I've been doing this, the most common thing that you see is a developer on a large project who wants to have a personal meeting with you. And in that meeting, they sit down and do their best to sort of cajole you and persuade you to the merits of their project. And the developer will do that with each one of you, trying to get a majority vote. That's the most common thing. But what's important to realize is that the Attorney General will not go after the developer or prosecute anybody. The folks who are at risk are the elected and appointed leaders. And so that's just important to know. There's been one prosecution that I'm aware of in Monterey County many years ago in Seaside. So it is something that the state takes very seriously. But again, I've been employed by the city for 10 years, and we've had maybe a one handful of questionable situations. So it's not a huge problem in my judgment. However, the manual is yours to keep and use as you wish as a reference. But it also is a good segue to this sheet that has also been left at the dais on June 23rd. There is a virtual planning commissioner training. I have had this training in the past, and it's excellent. It covers, as it says in the bullet points, some of your main duties, CEQA basics, planning documents. It really steps up your game as a planning commission with this training, because there's always something new to learn. So that concludes my comments regarding the Brown Act report, but I'll answer any questions that you might have about it.
Thank you for that, Mr. Megan. Are there any public comments on this item on the Brown Act?
No public comments.
Okay. Move on to Planning Commission comments.
I think for the most part, the Brown Act's pretty clear cut. The only thing that I know in the past, there was some people that were in the city council and they were all together. It's some sort of reception. There's a number of them there, and then people question that. And so what would you say about that, Mr. Rubin?
No, Commissioner Gallardo, that's a really good comment, because you will hear it often. Whomever is doing the speaking or the guiding will say, you can't have more than 3 people in attendance. And that's not exactly correct. You all can be together in a social event or whatever event, but you can't talk business. It's that simple. You can't say, hey, did you see or what did you think about that project? None of that. But you are not prohibited from having 3 or more in any one location. But from time to time, you know, even your city attorney and something, no, it's not a good idea. But that just is nobody has to worry if there's only 2 of you. But legally, according to the Brown Act, you can have 3, 4 people in attendance. You just can't talk business. It's best that you're all in different parts of the room. And that way the public doesn't think that you're talking about business. You could be over talking about baseball scores, but the public is, look at they're over there deciding on our project. Or sometimes there's big projects in a city that, capture the attention of everybody. And so everybody's talking about it. So in those cases, it's just best to keep the perception where it needs to be transparent and nobody's doing anything wrong.
Yeah, but perception is not always reality.
Not at all. Not at all. That's right.
All right. Well, thank you for this handbook. It looks like there's 2 new statutes. One is regarding continued remote meetings, and there's a specific just cause for doing that. So I'm hoping that, you know, if somebody's on vacation and out of state, that the existing rules would still apply. I know it's a matter of timely notice and letting people know. So hopefully that's still there. And then this other new legislation authorizing removal of a disruptive individual rather than clearing the room upon a verbal warning to that individual. So hopefully we don't ever have to do that. But
No, hopefully not.
I've been to some meetings where I was hoping that would happen and it never did.
Been there.
Any other comments for Mr. Mugen on the Brown Act requirements? Okay, thank you. I'll close this item and move on to number 2, which is staff responses to questions and comments raised by the Planning Commission at prior meetings. Topics include dog waste bags for city parks, opportunities for economic development conferences, potential for safety improvements to stop sign at El Camino Real and Pine, status of Proposition 68 grant for Community Recreation Center, and potential for Community Development Department related social media posts to be on the city's main Facebook. So is there a staff report on this item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to give a few brief comments, and the department has agreed among my colleagues in the department to include this as a permanent agenda item. It's something that we haven't been doing a very good job with the commission, and I think we'll be adding things as we learn them. For example, our building statistics, we average about 15 inspections a day, and the number of building permits we're not reporting to you. So we want you to also know more about what we're doing than sometimes you see in public. In that spirit, on the dice also is a product we put together for May 23rd. We distributed to the city council, and it's just a snapshot of the various projects that were going on May 23rd with the project description and the status where they are in the whole process with the permitting. And there's a table of contents. So if you're, gee, where are we on the pizza restaurant that burned down in Santa Lucia Square? You can take it and look in the table and read about the status. And that was put together very quickly. So if you have some comments about what you might have liked or not liked, they are accompanied by project plans as well. So you can get a sense of what the plans actually look like. The next topic I'd like to comment on is the social media posts. We're gradually doing a better job talking about some of the projects that we're working on. We're not quite there where we want to be, but we're getting there. With regard to the Prop 68 grant, the city has been approved for $8.3 million, and we are going through the environmental work and necessary requirements to see that money for the community, the new community center. Also, once the budget season gets behind us, we've been spending a lot of time on the budget lately, but next on the agenda is a proposed contract Burton, our economic development consultant from Sacramento, who will assist the city with recruiting commercial development and also rehabilitating our downtown. That's high next, I should say, not high, but next on the agenda to have that contract approved by the city council. Following execution of that contract, all of the opportunities for economic development conferences, both in Las Vegas, Monterey, sometimes they're held in Southern California, will follow the contract with the consultant. There will, of course, be great interest by city council members, probably the city manager, and of course, planning commissioners will follow. But they're somewhat enjoyable to attend, and it gives everybody a flavor as to how these recruitments work, how the booths are set up, and you're able to talk to the company representatives from a wide range of commercial entities. Finally, in talking among the staff in the department, we decided to have the public works director attend our next planning commission meeting so that the commission, can ask the director more specific questions regarding such things as the dog facilities and the parks and the street maintenance. There are we get asked questions often regarding public works projects on a variety of fronts, and so we haven't been able to get the kind of answer that would be that would address your concerns previously today. So we'd like to have the public works director come and answer those directly. That way you're not going through 10 people to maybe get the correct answer, because I think these questions are very important, because they're very well, in many cases, being action that should be taken that's not. So it's appropriate to ask those questions, and more appropriate that we give you an authoritative answer. That concludes my remarks. I think there's some members of the public that may wish to comment regarding the status of the stop sign at El Camino Real and Pine. I've heard that anyway, but regardless, I'll be quiet and answer questions for you if you'd like. But
Thank you, Mr. Megan. I'll open up public comments. Welcome, please.
Thank you. My name is Gail Thorne, and I was delighted to see on the agenda that you had the improvements for El Camino and Pine. And I thought that I'm at 801 Pine, and I wanted to bring a couple of ideas or give you some past history of what's evolved at that intersection. And I'm hoping that the commission and the staff and everybody can do some research for the future. I know as we are looking at development coming into town, probably the speed limit is going to change from what it just recently went to 40 miles an hour, that it's probably going to slow down a little. It used to be 30, and we used to have a four-way stop at El Camino and Pine many years ago, probably 2010 or so. When the street was widened, there was a four-way stop. And with the traffic surveys, it was removed. And now the speed limit has gone to 40. So it's getting harder and harder to make left-hand turns out of Pine. Whether you're coming from the west, which we have all the ag trucks, the fertilizers, the carrot company, and some of the big trailers from the winery that are coming down, plus commuters that are coming the back streets down Pine to go north. So I am just hoping we can research this and come to possibly a lower speed limit for everybody coming into town if people are making left-hand turns out of that intersection. And then in addition to that, just south of the intersection is where our mailbox is that we have. And so with the new folks across the street that just developed and put up a iron fence, we really don't have a driveway to pull in there anymore to get our mail. So we're parking out on the street. There's no real driveway. And I think maybe at some time there was some talk of moving it to Pine instead of on El Camino. But anyway, I just thought those were a couple safety issues I wanted to kind of review with you and encourage you, everybody, to look into researching that intersection. Because I know Cypress is tough, and a lot of people from heading north from Cherry, I don't know that they actually can get a good stop in there. And I know at the last meeting it was mentioned about how fast people are coming in. So I think it'll probably rectify itself as more development happens on both sides of the road. But I just wanted to bring my comments, and thank you so much for allowing me to do that. Thank you.
Can I ask how is it without the four-way stop? Has that?
Well, we were managing, and I think it was fine when it was 30 miles an hour.
Okay.
But now it's 40, which I think most people probably go a little faster. And in addition to that, there is all the employment on
Right.
Cherry, where many, many employees are coming in and out, shift change and whatnot. So we have the garbage company and the fertilizer company. So I just kind of wanted to share with all of you. We're on the dead end street part between El Camino and the freeway. So we aren't using tractors anymore coming down our street, but we do go to town or we go to the north, but I know there's a lot more coming from the west.
So you're on the east side of El Camino.
Yes,
That's it, okay.
yes. We have the pasture and the White House there. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the process is for, increasing or decreasing speed limits, but I'm pretty sure it's a bureaucratic process that may be time consuming. But thank you very much for your comments, and we'll note that and see what staff thinks about that, because those points are valid in my opinion.
Definitely. Look into that.
Okay, so can I speak to this?
Sure.
Okay, so when I brought up the stop sign, they have it here as Pine, El Camino and Pine. And I'm not sure if that's what the young lady was making reference to. But the one I made reference to was at El Camino and Cypress. Because that's where people are coming right off the freeway right there. And like I've said previously, and I'm being redundant here, there's been several really close incidents that involved me. They were at nighttime coming home from work. I've had cars that at one time I thought he was going to take my rearview mirror out because they don't realize there's a sign. So I was advocating to put those flashing red lights around it. I mean, and I think young lady would agree with me on this. If they did go ahead and put stop signs on Pine and ECR, that they do the same thing there. Put those flashing red lights around the sign. I mean, those get your attention. But like, I think when they're headed south coming off of the freeway, they just don't expect a stop sign right there in the middle of nowhere. Well, a lot of them don't stop. No, I was on my bicycle there one day, this was years ago, and this elderly lady, she just rear-ended a car because the car was stopped, and she never even slowed down. I mean, that was ugly. And like I said, I mean, and again, I mean, I'm repeating myself, but I've had several close incidents. I've seen numerous cars just run that sign continually because they don't know it's there. I don't think they're doing it on purpose. They just don't see it till the last second, right? So, yeah, we need to look at that. And then what the young lady was making,
I know you're talking about cypress and I was kind of talking about pine and we're right here at Cherry and of course then at Walnut, but I think actually there could maybe be a big study just of the entrance coming into town because we have the Shell station and we have all the big rigs coming in there for diesel. You have all the trucks that are going up over the overpass to get over to the Yank side for farming on that side. And I just think, there's probably, I hate to just add another stop, but maybe there could just be a design of slowing things down as businesses are added on each side of the road and just a comprehensive study as everybody comes in flying off the freeway.
It's just as bad going north than south because you got that curve going around there and people, go around that curve and they don't see that stop sign till the last minute. They're screeching their brakes on. So it either way, north or south, that is bad.
So if I may ask you, Mr. Mugen, what would be the protocol to try to implement more stop signs? Is that something the city has to do, or is that something the state or the county gets involved in?
Commissioner Gallardo, I don't know exactly everything that needs to be done. However, there needs to be traffic counts and there needs to be a study and there's been thresholds that are established. And then typically it's a public works and law enforcement joint effort. So, and that type of a study would routinely be done under like the general plan update process. Without doing it as a standalone, and that's coming next year for certain. So that's going to be looked at exhaustively either next year or if we initiate it before then, sooner than that.
Yeah, well, let's hope in the interim we don't have something really nasty that happens out there. Yeah, because I'm in a complete agreement with her. I mean, it's like if it's 40, people go 50. If it's 30, they go 40. Can't do that.
Well, they just changed that speed limit not recently, haven't they?
Yes.
Because it used to be 30 miles an hour. Now I just noticed the other day it was 40.
Yes.
So they just changed that.
Correct. But
then I'm sorry, but whose call is it then to change the speed limit?
well, it has to be based again. I'm going to correct if I'm mistaken. I don't want to give you misleading information because I don't know exactly the thresholds and the process. But what's generally done, you have to do a study and it has to meet prescribed thresholds already established by probably Caltrans. And when it meets those thresholds, then you can move forward with either stop signs or signals or adjustments to the speed limit. And I can give you a more comprehensive response next month. We'll consult with the police department. They do that all the time. They stay on top of what is coming out of Caltrans.
Yeah, I'm not sure the sequencing of when that speed limit was reduced, but I'm gonna guess that it was before the cannabis was built on Cherry. And then we have the new Poppy gas station going in at the end of ECR. And I believe that the bike lanes were put in at the same time. With Loud Pack at the time. So I think all that kind of happened at the same time, but meanwhile, and subsequent to that, we have a lot of development coming in on ECR. So that should be enough to trigger some kind of study. Yeah. So are there any other questions on this? As far you mentioned that Prop 68 is kind of going through the environmental work portion of it. Has the land been purchased? Do you know that is? Because I've heard the public be concerned that we might lose the grant. Is that,
No,
are we risking losing the grant at all?
no,
Okay, good.
we are not at risk of losing the grant.
Because I'm not sure what the timetable is, so,
No,
okay,
we are
good.
not.
I didn't think so, but.
We'll get you another a more in-depth briefing on that as well, because I met with the city manager today and discussed it at length, and we both agreed that because we have been approved, we've been approved for the grant, and that triggers additional steps like environmental studies, the close of escrow on the property, and I think everybody is interested in knowing exactly where we are, not what's rumored to be
Right.
the status. So we'll put that on our list.
All right, any other,
Yeah, I have one here. I made I brought up about here it says sidewalks located on El Camino Real due to them caving in. It's not the sidewalks, it's the crosswalks. Where they put brick across this cross roadway. They're sinking in. It's not the sidewalks. It's the crosswalks.
Well, what is the location, Commissioner Cadiz?
From the Bolero on down.
Okay.
Because you could tell that they shrunk down because you got an overlap like that on the asphalt. So
Oh gosh. Okay.
yeah, it wasn't the sidewalks, and I don't know how they wrote this up, but it's not the sidewalks, it's the crosswalks.
All right.
It's been a few years since it's been quite a while since they put them brick in like that.
I'll try and find out what the story is on that and what can be done to remedy it. Sounds like a job for Public Works.
any other comments? Well, I appreciate that you are making this a permanent agenda item.
I think it'll be good for everybody.
Yeah. All right, so we can move on to H, comments from Planning Commission and staff. We'll start off with the commission.
Okay. Okay, so over the years, I've been advocating for more housing here within our community. But I've also stressed that I believe that we're going to outgrow our infrastructure. And I mean, looking at our streets, that says it all. I mean, I certainly appreciate what the city's trying to do to repair our streets. But some of those streets, you're like putting a Band-Aid on a shark bite. You're putting a patch on a patch on a patch, and it's a matter of time before the patch is gone. Yeah, and some of them, they're doing a complete overlay. And yeah, I appreciate that, but still, I mean, we used to have a saying at work, why isn't there never enough time to do it right the first time? There's always enough time to do it over. And this is one of those situations. If we were to get in there and fix it correctly the first time, we're going to have to go in there a second and third time. Okay. Okay. The other comment that I have is, I know lots of people who work in Soledad, live in Soledad. I'm originally from Soledad. And I was told that there's been numerous times where Greenfield puts a lot of their sewage from the treatment plant in a tanker and they haul it over to Soledad. Is there any truth to that?
I've never heard that, sir. I don't believe there's any truth to that.
Okay.
I'll try and find out more.
I'm sorry?
I will try and find out if there's any truth to that. I've never heard of that. And sewer is, for better or for worse, it's discussed quite frequently internally because of our wastewater sewer treatment plant. So I've never heard of that. But I will find out.
And again, I mean, it's all subject to conjecture, right? But I heard it from like 3 different individuals and they said, yeah, we've seen trucks come in here and they're just coming from your sewer plant to ours because our plant couldn't handle it. So they're trucking that over there. So, yeah, I think if we could get
Find out.
find out about that. That would be
Sure.
great. Okay, that's the only comments I have. I have another comment. We got these street sweepers goes in, in different areas of town on certain days. Now, with all these cars parked in there's no sense of street sweepers because all they do is sweep in the center because they can't get over to the curb. I was thinking, and I don't know if it can happen, but I noticed in some areas that when the street sweeper comes through that area, they put a no parking sign out there so the street sweepers come in there that day and sweep there. But, I don't know how hard it is here because, I mean, I got so many cars parked around my neighborhood. Across the street, I have 6 cars. Next door neighbor, I have 5 cars. The next door neighbor has 3. The next one has 7 cars. So there's just so many cars in these that they park out there. So I think if you put a no parking sign on the day that street sweeper is coming around, maybe they could clean the streets up a little better because they're not doing a good job.
Okay.
Any other comments from commission?
I actually have something I wanted to share with you folks. Today is my last day on the planning commission. I'm actually moving to Salinas. And so I think I will no longer be a resident and will be able to serve. But I would like to read a little bit of something that I'm sending over to Mayor White. First of all, I want to thank the city of Greenfield for having given me the opportunity to serve on this planning commission for several years. Chair Garcia reminded me, I think it's been over 20 years that I've been here. I didn't realize that. Time flies when you're having fun. During this time, I've enjoyed working with my fellow planning commissioners and staff to promote growth in the city of Greenfield while preserving the small town qualities that make it a desirable place to live. I know Greenfield is in great hands with dedicated leaders such as yourselves devoting your time and skills to our community. Although I will be residing in Salinas, I will continue working in this town. And if there's ever an opportunity to serve the city of Greenfield, I hope you will be here. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for your work.
You'll be missed.
You'll be missed.
Been fun.
How many general plans did you work on?
How many?
I think you were. Yeah. So, well, thank you very much. We're sad to see you go, but best wishes in your move. And okay, staff, do you have any final comments?
Nothing. I'm covered already. Thank you.
Right. With that, we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:03.